Great to be here in Tirana. It's my first time. Great organization of the event, by the way. Thank you. And I'm going to be talking about technology, but not the very technology itself, but how to use it for a more human approach. The use of design with new technologies to create living conditions and public participation. That's the aim of what we do in those entities. And I think it's always good to start with a quote. I love this one. An architect who only designs buildings is just like a doctor who only prescribes paracetamol for everything. And we have the standard approach. Architects are versatile and touch many professions, fields when designing different programs. You know, once you design a hospital, you learn something about the healthcare, for example. We advise, we consult, we mediate on a daily basis. But then that's what we continuously as well repeat in some talks, presentations as architects. But also, maybe we should be more than just builders. We should come closer to the things that eventually will happen. The expansion of technology, as well in the building industry. Now, as architects, you can be coders. We've been coding since many years now, scripting, creating generative urbanism. But also, you don't need to create these technologies. It's enough if we know how to use them to propose new ways of using them by being better testers or the first contact for these producers. So can we actually push others to innovate, to create technologies? How can we help to implement promising technologies in the real estate and the construction market? Maybe we could create new technologies through design. So we come up with a technology by using our design. I'm an architect. I have an architectural office based in Warsaw, Poland. It's called MJZ. I have this portfolio of conceptual work, many competitions done in many places in the world with a multicultural team. We've been all over with people from all over in the office working on those projects. I personally have this unconventional track record. I've been working in some studios before, like I designed the Copenhagen project, the winning concept in Big. I've been working, and there was an execution of an air traffic control tower. We worked for a big oil company, global one, with headquarters in London and Amsterdam, with a filling station of the future. We won an European bid. So as you see, you might work on different programs. While working in these programs, you learn something about like a burning plant, how to burn trash, aviation, or how to move around mobility in the cities. We got some awards, not only for architecture, but as well design thinking. This is actually something that we've been doing now as well, a lot. We've been adapting and not building buildings. So there are a lot of buildings from the 90s, office parks, big ones. And this was basically totally revamped with technology by creating a digital twin. The result, instead of a big parking place, we have a big forest. Every tree down under has a concrete column. And we minimized by 15 degrees the temperature in this place. 25% we lowered the energy consumption of buildings by doing simulations with AI. And then the rent of this abandoned place is now jumped from 25% to 90%. This was a building where mostly they were demolishing these buildings in this district in Warsaw in Poland. Now also we've been using data to design entire master plans. This is a competition that we did and invited one in Gdynia, and the entire base for it were, since it was a port city, wind simulations. So climatic conditions, pressure, this is something that we found important to create a city from the scratch, a district of this city. And then we saw that actually as well, once we were like doing projects, competitions, we were like winning competitions, but by adding something which was not requested, like for example, the virtual reality. So like walks in the buildings that don't exist, or we were cutting down the budget. For example, if there is a science center with an exhibition, it has a permanent exhibition and it has a temporary exhibition. What if the permanent one is physical and the temporary is can be updated because it's an AR, so augmented reality. We designed this for the city of Opole. We won the German Design Award for it, for creative ways of using technology. And in MIPIM, Opole is a small city, but we presented them on MIPIM without having to pay for like the fare, the ground there rent, because we used AR to present the city. Also, this is me presenting the project for the president of Opole on a conference, also virtually. We used, as well, we were approached by a foundation of the ex-prime minister of Poland, and then ex-president of Poland, and Lech Wałęsa, who's one of the most known Poles, symbol of solidarity. He was presenting our educational app and website that we created to talk about the first elections in Poland. And through this, we created a tech department of the office, and then came COVID. And then we started to think like how basically to communicate ideas via new tools. And we had a lot of apps that we created for cities related to infographics, informing about like conditions, the building, what's underneath, so creating x-rays of technologies which are in the ground, the infrastructure. Normally you don't know where's the cable, and these were like super precise, up to 10 centimeters. And then also we thought, okay, fine, but like we got so good with other type of software besides the architectural one to show and create architecture. We used the gaming software, which was more advanced, and we created city replicas. So this is a replica of Warsaw, the north of the city, Wola district. We replicated one-to-one, even like with garbage bins outside. On the streets, you could enter buildings, talk with people. And this is a perfect participation tool. So basically, the city thought, in Warsaw as well, that it's a great way to communicate strategies. Because sometimes even if there is, for example, a liberal party ruling, the people that vote, they have cars. They're not like fans all of a sudden of biking and trees and to like narrow the street. So it was a great way to communicate and to show like in a virtual world some strategies. Now we also, for 3 years, we've been working with a European grant on showing the results of city plans. Because normally, you know, like city plans, they have all these symbols and people don't know the difference between one symbol and the other. And it's actually kind of important because it deals with ownership. It's an app where you go out on the city and then you see basically the outcome, like minimum volumes, maximum volumes, but not on one side, but generally on the entire district. By walking on the city, you see how the city will change and has to change because the city plans push it. Now I have as well this conventional approach. I've been working and doing other buildings, more like you could say traditional. And we all know the number, 40% CO2 emissions. We're all responsible partially for it. Kind of feels like at some point like working in the tobacco industry in the 90s. But then maybe how to improve this condition was about like not thinking in the box, but like getting a broader spectrum, not talking only like architect to architect, but other fields. Because in the end, all of these, the banking sector, the city officials, manufacturers, consulting, this is what forms the entire building industry. It's all interconnected. And then I created in 2017 an urban think tank, Laboratory for Urban Research and Education. So it's an organization that connects on a European level. We are partners of the European Commission and the Covenant of Mayors for Climate and Energy in Europe. And we thought, okay, fine, how can we optimize standard solutions, standardized building, the way how, for like the last 30 years we're designing buildings. Well, for example, with offsite construction. So this was something that we did with our partners, Fondazione per l'Architettura in Turin, in Italy. And we organized in Poland the first convention on prefabrication. It was the first historic one. Like for like 15 years, there were conferences, but it was like wooden prefabrication, steel prefabrication, or concrete prefabrication. They all compete with each other. So we organized the first one. We got the patronage of the Polish presidency in the European Union. It was in the official calendar, the Prime Minister's office. And then we got all the biggest players. So companies that were producing concrete prefabrication systems, wooden, steel ones. And these systems, they're quite promising because actually, our country is pretty flat. We have a lot of space. We have many storages, big ones, warehouses. So these factories or warehouses, they can be transformed into a place where you build a building, and 95% you do it there. So the on-site is in a factory, and the off-site, so things that happen actually on the construction site, is only 5%, is the facade. So you can control a lot. And then we, had the companies that said that if I wouldn't invite them to this conference, they would still have to be there because it was the first historic one, historic conference. And then, we know that we have these crises happening, the housing crisis, both as we examined, of course, we have in Poland and Italy, and then many other countries. We have the energy crisis due to the conditions, the war, the situation in Europe currently, and the climate change crisis. And then they kind of intertwine. They can intertwine with a solution as well. So even if you don't believe in climate change, fine. It's not this discussion that we have to open every now and then, but you could look into these systems as something that is just faster, more profitable, because time is money, requires less energy in terms of construction, the lifespan of the insulated buildings, and it's more resistant and eco-friendly, more resistant to, for example, fires, could be more resistant in terms of floods. In both countries, we have a lot of floods in Poland and Italy in specific places, and they still build in the traditional way there. We are also with one foot in Portugal. We are executing constructions there. There you have fires. So a super insulated building is more resistant to fires. Now, it's also about like changing the mindset as a designer. So thinking about the very end, human-oriented design, something good for the environment, but as well, you have to transform the way how you work because the process is somehow different. And then we're like thinking, okay, fine, if you can assemble a building with entire like modules, entire units that arrive, and disassemble, which is pretty important, why not combine it with another dynamic condition in terms of the land, the acquisition? You don't need to acquire it, purchase it. You can rent it. And then if the lease is over, you can move the building. Now imagine like the migration of people in different places. In Poland, we had at one point in 2022, 1.5 million people came. So these places, the places where people come and go, if you map them and you know how to move it around, this could be a solution. We also did a project in Mazure in the north where you cannot access the plot because it's all covered with wildlife, wetlands, and it's also perfect in terms of like preserving nature. And then we have many prefab factories in Poland. They mostly export. But this gives an advantage as well to use them in other areas of Europe. And something that we also do, whenever we design a building, we show as an extra the prefab version of it, how it might look like. That in the end, from outside, looks the same. But it's just in terms of like time, instead of 1 year, you have something in 5 months. So thank you for the opportunity. It was great to have you, to be here. Thank you very much.